Hi. For my travel videos, I want to show a map that follows the exact route that I took. You can get some apps on the internet, but they produce a very stylized kind of video. I want my viewers to be able to follow the exact route that I took, the actual road, including all the map information. The first thing we're going to need is maps, and the easiest way to do that is with Google Maps. So let's just pick two arbitrary places. Let's say we want to go from Middelburg to Barberton. Click on Middelburg, go to Directions and add Barberton. They're the wrong way around because we want to go from Middelburg to Barberton, so we switch them around. It has now plotted three different routes. This is the route that we actually went along. So we don't want to show those other two routes. How do we get rid of them? We pick something along the route that will mean that these two are definitely not going to be choices. So let's choose Carolina. Add a destination, Carolina. Move Carolina up between the two, and the other two routes have disappeared. We've now only got this one route. That's the route that we want. That's the route that we followed. We now collapse this side panel, and we have our route. Let's just center it on the screen, and we're ready to save it. Move the mouse pointer out of the way. On our keyboard, we do Windows up arrow S for Sierra. Right click, and it will save it. Snip, save to clipboard. Okay, so we have our map with a blue line, but we also need another copy of this exact same map without the blue line. So we expand the side panel again. We switch off the directions, and we click just below to clear those boxes on the left, and we now have the same map as the one we had before, but without the blue line. We copy it in exactly the same way. Up arrow Windows S, Windows snip, right click, and it is saved to the clipboard. Okay, so next we need to change the blue line into a transparent line. I'm going to use Photoshop. You can use any graphic program with which you're familiar, as long as you can create a transparent line. So what we're going to do here is import those two files. So I've named them map bottom and map line to differentiate between the two. Map line is the blue line, the map bottom is just the clear map without any line. I'm going to open those two, and here we have the two open, and you can see they're basically identical, except that the one has the blue line and the other one doesn't. So what we now want to do is to combine these two images into one. So in Photoshop, we're just going to hold the up arrow and move that one onto this one. Okay, and now we have two layers, and the one layer is with the blue line and the one other layer is without the blue line. The reason why we drag one image over the other and form these two layers is so that the two images are in perfect registration with each other, and whatever we do to one, the same will happen to the other. So the first thing we want to do is crop, because we don't need all of this extra. So we go to the crop tool. We are going to work to a format of 16 by 9, and we crop because we don't need all this information on the top nor the bottom. So we crop that out, and we get ourselves to a position where the map is nicely centered in the available space, and we crop it to that size. Okay, now we now have these two layers. I've renamed them bottom and line so that we know which is which. That's the bottom one has no line on it, and the line one has a line on it. Move the bottom one to the top of the two, and we now are going to duplicate that layer. So right click it and click on duplicate layer, and the document type is new, and it has now created this new image over here. That's the old one with the two layers. This is the new one which only has one layer. Okay, so we select this file. We now need to save it. So we're going to go to File, Save As. We're going to save it as a PNG file. And this is the map bottom, but we've cropped it. So let's just differentiate between the two. And let's call this one map bottom 2. That is now saved, and we can close it. Okay, so back in Photoshop with the original image that is made up of 2 layers, we only want to retain the layer marked line. So the layer that we have named bottom, we delete, and we're left only with this image that has the blue line in it. Now we need to turn that blue line into a transparency. Go to the Magic Wand tool, set tolerance to 90, uncheck contiguous. You can click anywhere in this blue line, doesn't make any difference where you want to click. As long as you click clearly inside the blue line, it will select the entire length of the blue line. Okay, once that selection is complete, go back to this layer, and we want to create a layer mask. Click on this little icon here, and a layer mask will be created. And we hit Control and I to invert that. We now have, as you can see where the blue line was, we now have a transparent line. Do not flatten this image. We want to save it. So again, we go to File, we go to Save As, we want to make it a PNG, and it's the line file, but again, it's been changed. So we're going to turn it into map line 2, differentiate it from the other one, click OK, and we are done with Photoshop. Okay, now we're going to move on to different software. We're going to use PTE AV Studio. It's a very powerful audio-visual program. The look and feel is very similar to video editing software, so you'll find your way around it quite easily. So let's jump into there. So we have our assets here like normal, and we want to use the map line 2. That's our map with a transparent line. We drag that onto the timeline. We don't want any transitions, so we make that 0, and we want it to last for 10 seconds. With that that slide selected, we go to Objects and Animations. Now you're seeing a black line here, but in fact it's a transparent line. Now we need to add the blue line to it, the traveling blue line. Most important here is to deselect this file. Otherwise, when you import the next slide, it is going to append itself in a parent-child relationship, which we don't want. So we click outside that area, make sure this is not selected. We now go and import, and you can make these up whatever you like. You can have whatever color you like. You might want a red line on your map. I chose blue, whatever suits you. I've made a rectangle and a circle, just whatever you like. Makes no difference. I'm going to open that file, that slide, and there it is now. That's the slide that we're going to use. I've made it deliberately very big, so in order that I can resize it to whatever size I want. Let's resize it to about that size, and let's park it over there near the start of the map. Okay, so we've got these 2 slides here. Very important, with the map line, we move that to the top, right-click it, go to Order, and bring to front. The map line file, this image, this slide, you must click on Transparent to Selection. That's very important. Right, we're now ready to start moving the blue line, the blue card behind this line. First thing we're going to do, we've got one keyframe selected. Let's put another keyframe at the end, right-click, add a keyframe. That's at just about the 10-second situation. So, click on the first keyframe, and our blue line is going to be in that position there. You'll see there's a little dot there. Place that dot on your root so that you know it's centered. And where we want to end our blue line will be on this keyframe here. We will reposition the blue line at the end point. So we've got a start and a finish. Now we right-click in the middle, add a keyframe roughly in the middle of our root. Drag it into the middle. Same thing now in the first quarter, add a keyframe, drag it onto the root at about a quarter of the way along, and at the 3/4, add another one, drag it onto the root. Split them in again. Split there, add a keyframe. We've got start there, we've got the quarter there. This one is a bit below. Let's just help it back into the middle. Same thing here, split. Let's have a look. We've got one there and we've got one there. We want this one to be between those two over there. Same thing here, create a split. We've got one there and one there. This one, move it down onto the line. Right click, add a keyframe. This one is going to be at the end. This one is going to be there. Yeah, that's about right. Just put it onto the root. And let's see what that looks like. Let's play it. There goes our blue line. At this stage, it's a blue worm. Don't worry about that. Okay, you'll notice that when it gets into this section here, let's just go along here. Watch what happens as it goes through this mountain pass. I'm going to play it now. Can you see it doesn't follow the road properly? So we've got a problem here. Let's go back here. That's fine. Let's go back here. That's fine. But when we go here, we're losing out on something. So let's split and add a keyframe. We're going to move from that one to this one, pull it down, and then move the next one up. And then let's add just one more just to keep it all nice and together. The reason why we split it in half and then quarters and then eighths is in order to ensure that the blue line travels along the route smoothly and at one continuous speed. If you rearrange these now, like you'll see they're a bit close together here, if you start moving these key points around, keyframes around, then the blue line will speed up and slow down, which is not what we want. Let's see how we're doing. Go back to the start and play it again. No problem with following the route there. It's just this next section. It's following a little bit better there. You can fine tune it if you like. I'm just showing you how to do it. Now, you can stop here and you can have a traveling blue worm that travels along your route. Some people like that. It's an interesting difference. You can use it that way. That's fine. The problem is that for someone who's unfamiliar with the roads in the area and is watching that little worm arrive at Barberton, might then say, now, how did you get to Barberton? Did you follow this road or this one? There's various options here. Which option did you use? I prefer to have the traveling worm, but behind it, the blue line stays in place all the way. If you want to use it as a traveling worm, you can skip ahead. If you want to have it as a traveling line, then this is how we're going to do that. We've got these two assets here already. Make sure that neither of them are selected by clicking in this blank area below. And we're now going to import a blue card, a rectangle. And again, that's way too big, deliberately, because now we can resize it to be whatever we want and whatever shape and orientation we want. Take it off to the side. And once again, move the map line to the front. And let's go back to the beginning. There are no key points along here because we are now working with a different file. As we move along here, the blue circle is going to leave behind a blank space behind it. What we're going to do is with the rectangle, we're going to, at this point, add a keyframe and bring it in and move it into just the point where it starts to get ahead of the circle. Leave it there. Move on ahead and the circle breaks away. Go back a little bit. So at this point, create a keyframe and move it into that position. Go ahead. And so you keep on painting in behind the circle using the rectangle. Now you'll see when you get here, the map is actually moving down the page. It's no longer moving horizontal, it's moving downwards. So let's just reorientate this and move it in to that position. Okay, when we get here, you can see that if we move this rectangle any further forward, we're going to start losing it at the back. No problem. We will just stretch it. And we want to move it up to that point. And now we're going slightly up the page. Let's just turn it again and pull it down to there. Okay, so once we've added in all these keyframes, we can come back to the beginning and check that everything flows nicely. We have a blue line moving along the road. We don't have any black spaces behind. And we have one nice continuous blue line that follows all the ups and downs and variations of the road route from end to end. All good, except that we still have this as a black line. That's because it's a transparency. So again, click here so that we don't create a parent-child situation, and import the original image of the bottom of the map. Map bottom 2 is the one that's cropped to the same size. So we import that one, and it must be arranged in its order to the bottom, send to back as they call it. And now we no longer have a black line on the map. So we can go back to the beginning and play it, and we now have a blue line following our route. All good. We can close this. We can just do one last preview to check that everything is looking like we want it to look. We can publish the show. We want a 4K video. Set all your parameters up here, and where to save it. Click on OK, and it will render and save the file for us. Okay, the file has been rendered. It's been saved as Map Blue Line as an MP4 video file in 4K resolution. Let's double click that. And we are done. Thanks for watching.